bono. Senator Cotton.
Gentlemen, congratulations on your nominations. Thank you to your families for their sacrifices over the year, and most important, thank you to the men and women you represent in your organizations and will represent for their service as well. I want to commend you both and commend everyone who was involved in the exceptionally successful mission against Iran over the weekend. Admiral Cooper, I want to return to a brief point you made with Senator Wicker. Although we have dealt a massive setback to Iran's nuclear threat, which is the worst kind of threat they could pose to us, Iran still poses a severe threat to our troops and to Americans around the world, right?
They do. They possess considerable tactical capability, one element of which we saw yesterday, which we thwarted in defense of Al Udeid Air Base.
And as the next commander of Central Command, one of your top priorities will be to continue the aggressive defensive posture and to continue the deterrence that's now been reestablished against Iran to defend our troops in the region as well as all of our friends in the region, Israel and the Arab nations.
Absolutely, sir. It would be an important priority, deterring Iran in proxy.
And I know that President Trump is mindful about this, that just because they had a very weak response yesterday, which they telegraphed in advance, doesn't mean that there might not be another response in a day or a week or a month or a year or 3 years, and it could be missiles or rockets against our troops, or it could be trying to blow up an embassy around the world or targeting American citizens for terrorist attacks, something that we have to be constantly on guard against because Iran has been terrorizing America and the civilized world for 46 years. Is that right?
Completely agree, sir. We've got to be in a three-point stance, ready to go every single day.
And at bottom, Iran didn't become a terrorist state because the United States bombed their nuclear bunkers. The United States bombed their nuclear bunkers because they're a terrorist state. Is that right?
I would agree.
Thank you. The strikes over the weekend showed the importance of having the world's very best industrial base and best munitions. The first time those had been employed in combat operations. They were incredibly successful. But the wars, both in the Middle East since October 7th and in Ukraine, has also revealed the fragility of munitions production in this country and the defense industry. Would you agree that we need to do a lot more to increase capacity for our munitions industrial base?
I would, sir. It's an area of significant concern. I know this is an area that senior DoD leadership is focused on right now. It's not a new issue. It's been around for some time, but clearly it's one we need to focus on right now.
And General Grinkowicz, I assume both in your current role in the Joint Staff and also your anticipated role in Europe, you would agree as well that we need to significantly expand munitions production in this country?
Senator, I would. As the Director for Operations on the Joint Staff with a responsibility along with my colleagues in logistics and sustainment for managing those munitions and pushing them to the fight, I'm acutely aware of some of the limitations that we have. And if confirmed, I would continue to advocate for strong investment on both sides of the Atlantic in the industrial base.
And our industrial base includes our defense contractors, companies that make this in the private sector, but it also includes our organic industrial base within the department. And given the track record over the last 3 years, would you agree that we really need an all-of-the-above strategy? We need to push both the private sector and lean on the assets we already have in the Department of Defense to produce the munitions our warfighters need?
Senator, I would. The organic industrial base does need that investment and attention. And on the private sector side, I would say we need to focus not just on traditional prime contractors, but also expand the competitive space to new entrants to get as much production capacity as possible.
Thank you. Admiral Cooper, I think I saw you vigorously nodding your head in agreement. Would you like to state that for the record?
Absolutely. I think the characterization of an all-of-the-above strategy is the appropriate characterization.
Okay. The operation last weekend, I guess a couple Thursdays ago in Iran, with the use of drones launched from inside the country, as well as a few weeks ago by Ukraine inside Russia, has revealed once again the threat that drones can pose to our bases here in the United States. And I've worked with Senator Gillibrand and a lot of other senators to address that threat here in the U.S., and we're going to try to pass legislation to expand the department's authorities on it. But General Grinkowicz, it's also a real threat in Europe, the prospect of NATO or American positions being attacked by drones, as we saw in Iran or as we saw in Ukraine. How do you assess the drone threat right now in the European theater?
Yeah, Senator, I think it's an acute threat. It's a new technology, and our investment in both counter-UAS capability and the ability to do the same sort of activities with our own drones needs vigorous attention.
Thank you. I agree it's an acute threat. If Israel can do it to Iran, if Ukraine can do it to Russia, we need to assume that the bad guys could do it to us and our troops and our bases as well, whether overseas or even here at home, and we need to counteract it rapidly. Thank you.